Hola pescaditos, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to be reviewing some backpacking gear. We're just going to do a quick and dirty little 5-minute review on the Deuter Kid Comfort. Now if you're new to the channel, predominantly we're fishing, but we're also doing a little bit of backpacking, and that may be why you're here today, but feel free to subscribe and become a pescadito and check out some of the other videos that we have on the channel. Now, my initial impression of the Deuter Kid Comfort is very good. I'm very impressed with the pack, and I really like it. I'm looking forward to getting some more use out of it. So let's talk about a few pros of the Deuter Kid Comfort and maybe a couple of cons as well. So first and foremost, what I really like about this pack is the ease in adjusting it to your body if you are the person wearing the pack. It's a super intuitive and quick system in order to adjust the torso length, which is really important for setting the hip belt on your hips to support most of the weight. If you don't set it right, you're going to know pretty quick because kids are heavy, the pack gets heavy, and you're going to start feeling it in your shoulders. But because the system is so easy to adjust, it's beneficial if you're going to have more than one person using it, because you can adjust it to your body and your torso length and the hip belt to your waistline in just a minute or two, which makes it great if mom's gonna take it one day and dad's gonna take it the next day or something along those lines, or even switching out on the trail if you needed to. Now, speaking of adjustability, it's also very easy to adjust for the child who is riding in it. They are also able to get into it very easily. You can load them in from the side, buckle them up with all the different buckles, and adjust all the straps accordingly. And it seems to be a very comfortable ride. That was one of my worries about investing some money in a kid carrier was, is my kid going to enjoy sitting in it for a longer stretch of time? And so far, she absolutely loves it, which tells me that it's also comfortable for the rider. Speaking of that, I'm hoping to get some good use out of it over a length of time, because the pack itself is rated up to, I believe, 48 pounds. Now that's going to be the pack weight itself, the child riding in it, and then all the other stuff that you're throwing in there. The pack, I think, weighs right around 6 or 7 pounds. So reasonably, you're looking at your kid being able to ride in it probably 30 to 35 pounds, I would say, depending on what else you're loading out with it. Now, that is another good thing about this pack. It does have a very good storage area for you to load diapers, snacks, maybe a little bit of water for yourself, and anything else that you feel like you might need on the trail. There's also a couple of smaller pouches in the hip belt, as well as some up on the sides that are kind of around the shoulders of the child. Now that brings me to probably my first con of this pack, and maybe it's nitpicky, but it doesn't have anywhere to put water bottles for the person who's wearing it. I mean, I guess your kid can hang on to their own water bottle if they're dexterous enough to do it, but there's best I could find is there's a couple little loops on the straps where you might be able to hook a carabiner or something to that. You're probably not going to be out on the trail for hours on end with your kid riding, so maybe you can just carry a water bottle, which is what I've been doing with it. But just a little bit pet peeve of mine. The big pouch is the only way that you could maybe store some water beyond carrying it or clipping it to you somehow. Now, the other thing about this that I guess you could consider a con, it's a pretty expensive bag. Ultimately, why I ended up going with it was it just already had everything that I needed, specifically having a canopy to keep the sun off of my kid. That way, she wasn't getting sunburned or anything like that. The Osprey Poco also comes with one. That was the only one comparable that I found that came with a canopy. Some other ones you got to buy them as a secondary accessory. Beyond that, the only other con that I've really experienced so far with this bag is the brace for when you're loading your kid, when the frame extends out and you put it on the ground to load your kid in and put it back on. If you're not limber enough, it can be very difficult to reach back to close that for when you're actually hiking. You don't want to leave it out, because if he's turned, you're going to start whacking people and knocking things over and hitting trees and everything like that. The solution that I found for that is it's easy to just kind of back into a tree or something and push it closed. It's easy enough to push back out, but some of that stuff is probably going to be specific to the user. I don't have a lot of flexibility pulling my arms back, which is probably why I'm struggling closing that. But other than that, the pack has been great. My kid loves riding in it. It's got a lot of cool features like a drool pad on the front and stuff, and my kid's just gnawing on it the whole time that we're walking. And a buddy of mine who he's had a similar experience with his kids with it, but the kid seems comfortable in it. It's named the Kid Comfort. You would expect that, and it does seem to live up to its name. Now, one, I guess, tip that I'll give you when it comes to a kid carrier that was passed on to me, and it wasn't something I thought about initially, so maybe you're not thinking of it either, is if you're hiking in cooler to cold weather, make sure that you're layering the kid up more than you would be layered up for the hike. The extra weight and the moving around, it'll get you hot quick. You are probably going to feel the weight of your kid in the pack regardless of whether it's set up right or not. It just ends up being a heavier pack, but they're just chilling. They're sitting up there, they're not moving, they're not exerting a lot of effort, so they'll feel the cold a little bit more than you will while you're hiking around and carrying that weight. So anyways, like I said, just a quick little overview of the Deuter Kid Comfort. I would say that if you're on the fence about buying this, you should just go ahead and pull the trigger on it. If you're kind of debating whether you want a more budget-friendly option or you want to go all out, the Deuter is definitely more on the end of going all out. But so far, it seems like it's been worth it to me. Maybe just make sure that you buy from a store like REI or Backcountry or something like that has a good return policy. That way, if your kid hates it or you just find that you can't lug them around, whatever the case may be, you won't have dropped that kind of money on it. Because from looking at the resale market, the prices are not super comparable. You're going to lose out a little bit if you try to resell it down the road. But anyways, like I said, this has been just a quick and dirty review of the Deuter Kid Comfort. Hopefully, if you're considering getting it, this gave you a little bit more information or a little bit more confidence in clicking buy on it. So this has been Caleb with Certified Dinks. We'll catch you on the next one.